Hey guys, how you doing? It's Henry at Mowers and Blowers. Good morning. So here's the situation. My daughter now drives my old 1995 Acura Legend L. It was the last year that they used the name Legend. It turned into RL, TL, RL, that kind of thing the next year. So this is the last year of the Legend. It's truly a legend. It has like 65,000 miles original. So my daughter drives it to school every day. Now that it's near winter time, in the morning there's frost. So she gets up, she turns on the engine, turns on the defrost, heat and everything so that it defrosts the windows as there's ice on it. Then 10-15 minutes later she comes out and she goes to school. No problem, right? Today she comes out 15 minutes later and it's still frosty. She wakes me up, I go downstairs, I go into the car and it's ice cold. There's no heat. Also, the engine seems to be surging at idle. So I'm like, oh, well, her school's like 3 minutes away. So she could drive it to school and back no problem, you know what I mean, without the engine overheating. So, of course, I couldn't go back to sleep again. I decided to do some research. So I'm thinking it's the thermostat, right? But then again, somebody told me you should check and see if you got coolant first. Because if you don't have coolant, the hot water doesn't get into the core and heat up your car. I sure hope it's not a water pump. That would be a pain in the butt. Thermostat's kind of a pain in the butt too, but it's doable, you know? So I'm gonna pop the hood and we're gonna squeeze the upper and lower hoses to see if there's any pressure. Because if there's no pressure and it's cold, it means that the thermostat is closed, which means none of the hot water that was heated up from the engine has made its way to the radiator. So I just started up the car just to see. It's not warm at all. It doesn't blow any hot air at all. It doesn't surge anymore, but it starts up fine. Temperature is fine. No warning lights on. Let's see what's in the, let's see about the radiator. Now her school isn't far away, so shouldn't have run the engine too long to get home. So let's just see whether or not the radiator is hot. It is. The radiator is hot. Well, it's warm, it's not hot. Let's squeeze this tube. And it's warm, and doesn't seem to be a lot of pressure, no, but it's warm. So perhaps it just doesn't have enough coolant in here. To be honest with you, I don't remember the last time I checked the coolant in here. And I don't take this to a dealership or anything. So, you know, maybe there's no coolant. So I believe the thermostat is there. Right in there. Looks like it's kind of a pain to get into and see a part where, oh, I see it. It's like a whole thing to take off though. Yeah, there's no pressure in here. See, I could easily squeeze it. It is warm though. So what do you think? Should we try to open the cap? Oh man, I remember what happens if it's too hot and builds too much pressure. You open it and like geyser comes out and you might burn yourself. All right, here we go. I'm going to do it anyway, even if it does all come out. I'm just going to click it. She just drove it, and just a little bit of pressure came out. That's it. So I have a feeling that there's no coolant in here, man. And that could be just the problem. So I'm just going to fill this up with some antifreeze. There's a little bit in here. I'm imagining it would take up a lot.
Antifreeze. Antifreeze.
Okay, so now it's kind of worrying me because I poured all that in there and it really wasn't that much and it's full. Maybe I got to start the engine so that it circulates it and gets the air out. So it's running now. I didn't pour that much in there, so maybe that's not the problem. As you can see, the temperature is good, cold. That light there is the seat belts. That's parked. There's no lights, no overheating or anything. The defrost is on. The temperature is all the way to red. Fan's not on that much. Recycle or this, that. I'll let it run for a bit. So I see two hoses going into the firewall. I touched them both. They seem warm, but that's from the, it's warm. It's, you know, because the engine's hot. So I'm not really sure if fluid, warm fluid is going in there, you know? Anyway, it's a mess right here. So it's been running for 10 minutes and I can feel pressure in this hose. And the fluid seems like it's getting hot. It is. The fluid is hot, which means that the thermostat is open, allowing fluid to go through the, or is it the bottom part? And this is going that way into the engine. The bottom one is here. And the bottom one's cold. The bottom one's cold. So let's think about this for a minute. So I texted my friend Bill Martini, Nick from Bellport, and Jason Pate of Pate's Performance. Well, Jason's actually a mechanic, and so is Bill, and Nick pretty much too. Anyway, because the top hose is hot and the bottom hose is cold, he's saying, they're all saying, that the thermostat is not opening for the hot engine water to go through and circulate through the radiator. But then I'm wondering, how is the top water hot? Is it the excess water that's in the top that's being heated up from the engine just staying here? I mean, I'm thinking that's it. So I had went to a forum, and you got to remove this throttle wire cover, and then it exposes a 3-bolt housing where the thermostat is in. I believe I have to drain the radiator though. That would suck. I think the cheapest way for me to go about this is just go buy a thermostat, right? And change that and see what happens. I don't think it's a water pump, because they said the water pump, if it was seized or bad, it would make a lot of noises and you would have leaks all over the place. So I think maybe it's a thermostat, because honestly, I don't remember the last time I changed the thermostat in this thing. It's from 1995. Advanced Auto Parts. I was going to order it online, but it's not expensive even at the store, and I don't have to wait for me to get it. So this is actually they had two models. One was only $19.99, a Carcraft, and he said this one was a better one, and this was $22. So it's $3. Might as well get the better one. This didn't come with the gasket on it, but most of the videos that I've watched said that just use the old gasket, and you just have to be careful removing it. It's a pretty heavy-duty gasket. So it's, obviously you can see it's getting dark, and it's the weekend, so my daughter doesn't exactly need the car right away. So we'll fix this in the morning. Hey, so it's the next day. You can see Mother Nature is not being cooperative. But nothing's going to stop me. I'm not going to waste a whole day sitting inside watching the USA lose to the Netherlands in the World Cup. I moved my zero turn in more, so I have some room in the front there. I'm just going to drive the car and have the nose pointed inside so it's covered by the rain. Then I'm going to drain the radiator. I'm going to take off the bottom tube and drain it. That's what they tell me you have to do. So obviously it's going to be a messy job. It's going to be antifreeze all over the place. And I have a dog, you know, You guys know antifreeze. If a dog licks or pets and lick antifreeze, it could be poisonous. So I'm going to put this down there and let it drip, and also catch all the antifreeze so we can try to reuse it as long as it's not super dirty. So there's a hose clamp on the bottom. I'm going to loosen that, and then I'll try to get the camera under there to let you see. So, scratch the idea. I crawled underneath, and there's these huge panels that are surrounding the bottom, which is to encase the bottom of the engine from bottoming out. So that's a lot of work to remove all the panels down there. And also these Japanese cars, they're so compact, you know, you can't stick your hand in anywhere to get it. So I'm just gonna do what I was saying before. I'm gonna remove this cover here, which exposes the throttle cables, and then you're gonna be able to see the housing for the thermostat there. Remove 3 bolts, take the thermostat housing out, take the thermostat out, and then we'll be done. And I'll deal with bleeding the radiator later. Okay, you guys see that? It was 3 bolts. They're all 3 different size bolts, and this is the housing for it. And it doesn't appear that it allows me to take it out. So I'm just gonna rest it here because I can't get it past this throttle bracket. Also, you see there is a ground strap that goes on the bottom right thing. It's for ground. And there is the thermostat. I'm gonna pull it out in the right orientation. Notice the dimple right there sticking on the very top. Make sure that that's the 12 o'clock position. When I put it back in, it has to be the same. There you go. Thermostat. It wouldn't come out unless I removed the housing. I just had to jiggle it and wiggle it, and it came out. It's in good shape, and you can notice there's no gasket. There it is right there. You know, it looks okay. I don't really see anything wrong with it. If you really wanted to test this, I'm not going to test it because I already bought a new one, right? So what's the point of testing? I'm not going to reuse it. You put this in boiling water. You can see that the wax expands and this opens up. That's how you know it's good. I mean, it is a little dirty. Anyway, I have to remove this black gasket carefully and replace it on the new one perfectly. Just put the gasket back on here. It doesn't look exactly the same. I have it oriented this way because this little dimple there is supposed to let air out, and that's supposed to be on the top. See, it says up. This one doesn't have the dimple there, but it has the dimple in there. See it? So that has to be up. This tab was on top, right on top of the dimple. So even though the orientation, this is vertical, this is horizontal. And as you can see, the OEM one looks beefier. This is like a double thingamajig. I read about it somewhere. It's a newer style. Whatever, man. If it's supposed to work, it's supposed to work. Guess that's the same size. Does that look a little bent to you? This looks a little bent to me. Okay, I put it in and I tightened all the bolts and connected the ground strap. It says to tighten it to 11 foot-pounds. I just tightened it to where I thought was 11 foot-pounds with my hand. So I'm gonna put the hose back on and then top off the fluids. I guess I should run it a little bit and then do the fluids. Got the hose clamp on there now. Should I put the cover on yet, or should I test it first? Now let's open up this thing and see how much. All right, so it's gone down a little bit, but I need to find the bleeder. Apparently there's a way that you can bleed it. This might be it here. It's like a grease fitting thing here. That might be it. I loosened this thing so that air's coming out. I'm going to keep this going until you can see a steady stream of antifreeze coming out. Right now it's all air. Car's been running for about 10 minutes on idle. I have revved it up to 3,000 or 4,000 RPM here to there. I then took the cap back off and topped it off. And as you can see, there's still a little bit of bubbles, but now it's starting to be mostly fluid coming out. So I think we're getting there we go, look at that. It's all fluid now, see? There's no bubbles, maybe one or two, but it's mostly fluid. I'm gonna keep doing this until I don't see any more bubbles for a good period of time. And then we're probably got most of the air out, but look, that's mostly fluid coming out now. I'm gonna just cap that off and we should be done. Okay, I closed it off. As you can see, it's been running for about 25 minutes and the temperature is below the middle. Car is warmed up completely and it is hotter than hell in here. We have heat. Success, success, I tell you, success. Not that much dripped out, but some. I'm glad I caught it. Everything's warm now. Radiator's hot. This is hot. Bottom one is cool, but it's warm, you know? We haven't driven it or anything like that. I'll top off more fluids after I go for a drive and stuff. And that ought to do it. If there's more air, we'll do the same bleed again. Just looking over everything. How about that, huh? We fixed the problem. It wasn't as easy as just pouring coolant down there. The thermostat was closed. And so we swapped out a thermostat, cost $23. Didn't take very long. I did it the easy way by just disconnecting the hose, taking out the housing and putting it back in. I didn't drain the whole tank. It seems like it's clean antifreeze. I don't see any signs of any sludge or anything, so the radiator should not be clogged. We have heat now, which was the entire culprit of the problem, which caused us to do this job, is because there was no heat. Now we have heat, and we'll test this as the days come by driving it around, see if it has any overheating problems or anything. But that's it. Thanks a lot for joining me on today's 1995 Acura Legend L 4-door 3.6 fully aspirated Acura Legend with 65,000 miles on it. Change the thermostat. Like I said, I don't remember the last time I changed the thermostat, but at least we're good now. We have heat. See you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.
See you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.